Hey Brian,
Hey, Billy.
we are here today to go over another 8-page comic from Detective 1000. Detective Comics, DC Comics 1000th issue. 8-page comics by the best and brightest from Batman's future, present, and past. Today's comic we're going to read is written by Paul Dini, drawn by Dustin Nguyen, inked by Derek Frudolfs, colors by John Cleese, and lettering done by Steve Wands. What'd you think about this comic, Brian?
I like this one. Compared to the last one, it was a bit more humor throughout the entire comic. The last one, you got the surprise at the ending that was...
The last one being the Jim Lee, Kevin Smith.
The one circling...
Manufactured use.
Yeah.
Manufacture for use.
The one that was kind of revolving around Matches Malone.
Exactly. So let's run through the plot real quick. Basically, these 8-page comics do a great job of fitting a lot of action, a lot of information in 8 pages, obviously. These guys are pros. And the way this one's done is through the Gotham Insider, which is a TV show a news TV show in Gotham. And this one's an expose on the legend of Newt Brody, critically acclaimed as the worst henchman in Gotham City's underworld history. So basically we have Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, the Riddler, Poison Ivy, discussing how poorly this one henchman Newt Brody is. And it just sort of flashbacks over the audio or over the voiceover of the TV show.
It's almost like when a famous actor or musician dies and then they interview all the other famous people that might have been influenced by him or knew him or her.
Like a Behind the Music or something on VH1. Yeah.
Like you never hear a whole lot about that person other than what they do, but then when that individual passes away, they just interview everybody in pop culture to get a little bit of backlighting on the person.
So every Gotham villain has a henchman, even Joker, who seems like someone who just want to play it on his own. And usually they're in the background unless you're like a Harley Quinn or a prominent henchman or something.
Yeah, like penguins are usually in the suit. They look like mobsters. Yeah. Jokers usually have the white painted faces and the fluffy collars and the big hammers. And I think with Joker, they're predominantly like tall, skinny, short, and stocky.
Yeah, they just blend in the background. They all look the same. And this one specifically is based on Newt Brody because he's the worst henchman. He's foiled so many capers, so many robberies, so many plans by these villains that they're sort of talking out either through interviews while they're in jail, interviews from the past, and it's a cool way to sort of show past crimes and how they were foiled, either whether it was Two-Face, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, the Kite Man's in there, some weird guy shooting mustard, having a mustard gun or something, Poison Ivy, the Riddler.
And initially when they're all interviewed by the Gotham Insider, they don't seem to know who he is, which is funny for someone being so infamous in the henchman world that...
They know his name, but
they've just been passed around. I don't think in...
Well, they call him Newt Brody. Newt Brody. Oh, yes, I killed him. The worst, absolute worst. And I've had some lemons. I have no idea who you're talking about. Oh, wait, that guy.
And that was Harley Quinn.
So they usually don't recognize him until he screws up, and then it sort of sticks with him. Can't imagine during the interview process they really paid attention to his first and last name.
Yeah, I don't think he had a whole lot of references on his resume to call.
Yeah. Oh man, a lot of job experience. So, spoiler, at the end of the story, why it's great, it's shown that the person, Newt Brody...
Before we get to that, let's just kind of say everybody's kind of arguing over who killed him, because apparently he's dead. But
you'd think that one of these guys would kill him, especially like a Joker or a Harley Quinn after he screws up once. Boom, you're dead, get out of here. I've seen Joker kill people for a lot less.
Joker shoots him up after he unknowingly gets the detonator that Harley Quinn has to Batman because he hits her in the face with like a stake post. And everybody thinks that they kind of killed him or at least beat him up pretty bad. The Riddler's whacking him with his cane. Poison Ivy gives him one of her kiss of death, and I don't think he's been seen since that. So everybody's really assuming that he's dead.
Assuming he's dead, gone. After the Joker shot him, he was out for a year. Word was on the street that he was intensive care, and then he came back. I forgot the part where he accidentally freezes Mr. Freeze with his own gun. It's pretty funny.
But he owns up to his mistakes. He gives the passcode to the Riddler and apologizes because Batman's just so scary.
So it turns out that this character, Newt Brody, which is funny because the last one we did was Matches Malone, is not only Batman or Bruce dressing up as a henchman just to get the inside to foil everybody, but in the scene with the Riddler, Batman's there and Newt Brody's there. So then it's shown that it could be Batgirl, it could be Tim Drake Robin, it could be Jason Todd Robin, it could be Alfred. I think Alfred was the one who got shot by the Joker, he was saying.
Yeah.
And it ends with they have to retire Brody because of this expose coming out and shedding light on how he's the worst. A little suspicious. And it's Damian holding up the suit, Bruce Wayne's son, saying, "Oh, I didn't get a turn, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn."
Yeah, and then Damian's wearing the suit when he's begging to have his turn, and he looks exactly like a little new Brody.
I'd be afraid that Damian would just chop someone's head off undercover. It's not too on the down low. But did you recognize the name Paul Dini, the writer of this?
No.
So Dustin Nguyen and Paul Dini have worked before on Batman Case Files. Paul Dini was half the animated series Big Brain. So there was Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, who did the Batman animated series, which basically changed everything for cartoons, everything for Batman on TV at least. And he was a big fan, if you go back and watch those series, especially the ones that Paul Dini wrote, of the Bruce Wayne detective aspect. Batman's out there at night doing his thing, but he was a big fan of having Bruce Wayne in situations, doing a little detective work. Even if it was picking up somebody's receipt he thought was suspicious, he see where they were, taking pictures, doing a little fingerprinting. Bruce Wayne was always just as busy as Batman during the day. And I think the art's really great. Besides the Batman Case Files, I haven't seen a lot done by Dustin Nguyen. But I like his take on a lot of the characters. He even has to draw the characters in the past because it's bringing up past crimes and past capers and then showing them updated when they're in Arkham doing the interviews. So Poison Ivy's in her lab coat, looking very studious with her glasses. She's a little more free-spirited when she's locked up. Same thing with Harley Quinn. You get a glimpse of the old school Harley Quinn from the Batman animated series, that costume. And then when she's being interviewed, assumingly in Arkham, she's more like the current day Margot Robbie Suicide Squad sort of get up for Harley Quinn.
She's got the leather jacket and the biker gloves on.
Yeah, dyed hair.
So I guess my question is, if you're Newt Brody and you're getting fired, let's just assume that Newt Brody is a real person, not just the whole Bat family dressed up.
So he's assuming he's a henchman as far as we know. Yeah.
At what point do you just go get a job somewhere else?
Because this is the worst job ever?
Because he sucks at it.
Oh, well, who knows? How much do you think they pay henchmen?
Well,
they're risking their lives.
He's booted as soon as the job ends. I don't think he
every time he gets fired.
I don't think he works more than one gig and it fails every time.
Yeah, well,
especially in this scenario because we know who he is.
I'm assuming if this was a real henchman, probably. I don't know how he gets picked up every time. How these guys don't talk to each other, these villains, and say, "Oh, don't hire that dude." He must work. I mean, he must work for very cheap. Because he just is Batman, wanting to get on the inside. He doesn't take the health insurance plan, doesn't take the dental.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just looking for job experience. I'll help you with this bank robbery. Give me one of those clown masks and a big mallet. And then boom, he's gone.
One of the things I wasn't a huge fan of is early on when they're describing him. I mean, it's a comic book. You can see him. You don't need a whole lot of description, but they specifically say that he has cauliflower ear. And as a wrestler, I don't want people with cauliflower ear to be looked at as unprofessional. If you're a henchman, you have cauliflower ear, I'm probably going to pick you early.
Yeah. I mean, shows he's been in some scraps. Maybe a little high school wrestling experience. Maybe a little jiu-jitsu experience. I think that just adds on to the caricature of Brody. So if you have someone like the Riddler, oh, that looks like Bruce Wayne's ears. Boom, can't even tell. Cauliflowered up.
Everybody's ears are like a unique not sunflower, snowflake.
Sunflowers are kind of unique if you don't think about the Fibonacci sequence.
I don't often.
Oh, good. Me neither. I'm sorry I brought it up.
So
what do you think? Read, don't read? Binary? Good, bad?
I would read. This one I enjoyed because it was funny throughout the whole thing. The last one had the funny experience at the very end. This one it's an enjoyable read throughout. I would give this one, if we're doing our 1 to 10 scale, not allowed to choose 7, I'm gonna go with an 8.
Yeah. 8.5, 9. I really liked it. It's different than the way Kevin Smith and Jim Lee wrote theirs and storyboarded theirs, but it still gives a ton of information, a ton of action without making it all live. Good use of flashbacks, good use of the Gotham TV show, and then it ties it all up in the present day in the cave at the very end.
Yep.
All right.
So that was a good 8-page comic.
Yeah, that was awesome. And 8 pages, I mean, what did you think you read that in? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
10 minutes if you're taking a good look at all the art and if you're confused by something. Yeah, definitely worth your time. You could waste your time doing a lot worse things in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'll name a few. No.
Let's move on to some news. So, headline. Marvel has one major casting requirement for a new MCU superhero, Shang-Chi. And essentially it's that the actor portraying Shang-Chi can only be Chinese. Not even Asian, but the actor specifically has to be Chinese. Now, after the debacle with Iron Fist, in some people's eyes, what are your thoughts on this?
Did I watch the first No, I did not watch the whole first season of Iron Fist. I watched the Defenders.
I'm not even talking about how poorly it was portrayed, but the fact that a lot of people were up in arms about the act. It was a good opportunity to bring an Asian descent superhero into the Marvel universe.
True.
And they went with...
Well, I like this choice of Shang-Chi because it'll be Marvel's first Asian superhero soloing his own movie. I wasn't upset that they didn't pick an Asian actor for Iron Fist because he's not Asian in the comics. It would have been great. I don't think a lot of people would have complained. I'm sure whoever they chose would have been better than the guy that they had for Iron Fist. But the fact that they're saying Chinese specific because Shang-Chi is a Chinese character, I think that's a great move. I think as white people, at least I can speak for myself, I have a hard time discerning between Asian races. I can kind of do Vietnamese, but I understand, especially when there's mixed people. So if you're going to say someone's Chinese, it's not like China doesn't have 1 billion people with 1 million actors. And I think it's very reasonable to ask for a Chinese actor.
Absolutely.
For a Chinese character. But I think this is a good thing to come. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't have probably noticed, even if they got a Filipino guy. But why not? Why not just do it? Hashtag not racist.
I'm glad that they're taking this route. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Shang-Chi, but I'm excited for all and everything that the MCU brings, so...
All right, next piece of news. Marvel finally wins Iron Man 3 poster lawsuit 4 years later. So I'm going to show Billy the picture. The one is depicting the poster of Iron Man. That is a very well-known pose. He's kind of kneeling
crouched
down.
over, one knee up, one knee down, helmet off, fist raised. Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark looking pretty angry. And then on the right... it looks like a comic panel or a comic cover, and I assume that's Iron Man?
It's not.
Oh.
So that's the thing. It's let me just read a few sentences here. So Marvel has prevailed in a 4-year-old lawsuit that allegedly they had stolen the idea for the Iron Man 3 poster from comic book artists Ben and Ray I'm going to go with Lay. L-A-I is the last name. The Lay brothers had a comic book series titled Radix in the early 2000s that gained a little steam and attention in the industry. They did a piece of art centered on that character that looks very similar to what ultimately ended up as the one sheet for director Shane Black's Iron Man 3.
All right. What do you think about this?
I think...
What are your feelings?
Well, so it's the same exact pose. There's no way about that. But, I mean, like you said, the character looks just like Iron Man. So how can they not get some...
So they created this character in the 2000?
In the early 2000s.
When Tony Stark's been around for, what, the 60s? 70s?
The only... If I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here... Tony Stark's very much known for the red and gold. This character has no gold on them, a little bit of red, and then the blue lights aren't even in the center of the chest. They're off to the side of the like pec muscles where they would be. But he does have the suit looks. I mean, other than color, it's pretty much Iron Man. So I don't know how they can't be kind of held accountable for stealing an Iron Man concept.
Right, exactly.
If we want to go that route.
So Marvel won this suit?
Marvel wasn't suing anybody, but yeah, they weren't held accountable for...
I think that's super fair. I think that's a crazy claim. I mean, how many Iron Man comics? Iron Man's had so many different suits, so many different colors, so many different varieties of sizes and shapes. I mean, you can only make so many fictional space suits with fictional guys in them. Their guy looked very similar to Tony Stark minus the mustache. I mean, I don't think anybody should be butthurt about this.
All right, moving on. The title is Taika Waititi returns to MCU.
Taika Waititi?
Do you know who that is?
The director of Ragnarok.
Yeah, he returns to the MCU as Thor 4 director while Warner Brothers delays Akira indefinitely.
They delayed it. I thought...
So if you read the article, it actually says they delayed it pretty much indefinitely. So there was some concerns on the direction that it wanted to be taken.
When was Akira supposed to come out? I thought it was supposed to come out not next year, maybe 2021.
I wish I had that date visible to me real quick, and I don't. Akira was set for release May 21st, 2021, but the pushback has allowed for Waititi to...
So that means we should be getting a Thor 4 within the next 2 years, if it's affecting Akira, which was supposed to be released in less than 2 years. That's awesome. And Taika Waititi's back. Do you think it's going to be... as Guardians of the Galaxy related? Because this is going to come out before Guardians 3.
Thor 4 is?
Yeah. They haven't even started Guardians 3. They started pre-production stuff. Then all that James Gunn stuff happened. So they slowed it down. They did...
I can't imagine
they brought up Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I know Thor Ragnarok heavily focused on the Hulk as well. But I can't imagine... Thor and the Guardians splitting time and it being called Thor.
Well, I don't know if that's just a working title. I don't think it's going to be called Thor 4.
No, well, yeah.
But if it was called as Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
I'm thinking the next movie that Thor's in will be a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I don't.
The next movie. Well, this movie is definitely coming before Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So whether or not they're in his movie, and then he also shows up in their movie. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 hasn't even started yet. James Gunn's working on Suicide Squad 2?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So he's not even set to start on that. They haven't even... I mean, I don't know. I'm just reiterating what I've read. I'm not inside MCU headquarters, obviously, but... I'm pumped for this movie. Taika Waititi is a hilarious director. I love Thor Ragnarok. When Jessica and I got the flu, a couple years ago. I think we watched it like 4 times in a week. The set design's beautiful. It really took Thor into another direction. I didn't hate Dark World. I think we've gotten pretty split with these MCU movies that people are remembering Dark World, Thor 2, Dark World as bad as it was. I think if you rewatch it, it's got some endearing parts. It sort of works well after the first one. But I love how they just took him off of Earth. They did a whole new thing for Thor 3, and I hope they keep moving in that direction. Especially after Endgame, where it seems like he has a lot of PTSD to work out. Maybe something a little happier, a little more jolly, maybe space related. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think everybody is.
I need to read some of those Asgardians of the Galaxies. I haven't read any of those
We
comics.
should do a review, full episode.
Yeah, you buy it, I'll read it.
All right. So there's an exclusive announcement, new Marvel Comics coming this October.
Ooh!
I'm going to give you the title, essentially, or the idea of what the comic will be, and I want you to just give me a quick response to it.
You're going to tell me the idea and I have to tell you the title?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just telling you what's going to be coming out. I don't know if they're giving us the title exactly, but
All right.
Ghost Rider, #1, written by Ed Bryson. Nope, that's not right. Ghost Rider's coming back. What are your thoughts?
Cool. Well, I have heard that Ghost Rider's going to appear in a Defenders-like series that they're doing on Hulu. So they're obviously the Marvel and Netflix have parted ways. And unfortunately, we're not going to see Daredevil, Jessica Jones, I only really like those guys, but those characters for a while. So the Hulu's going to be Ghost Rider, Blade, couple other peeps, Glyph, who I'm not too familiar with, and it's going to be like a darker Defenders sort of type of show. So I don't know if Ghost Rider is going to get his own series on Hulu or if they're just going to do the team up. But I'm pumped because this comic will probably reflect the direction they're going with Ghost Rider in the future as far as the MCU. Still haven't seen the Nick Cage movies. Ghost Rider movies.
Oh, you haven't?
I don't think I've seen, no. Maybe just like clips
Was
on
there more
TV,
than one?
but
Was there more
there
than
was
one?
2.
Oh, I
Yeah.
haven't seen the second one.
Ooh, future commentary maybe.
Spider-Man, just a quick read of this. A summons from S.H.I.E.L.D. leads Peter Parker into a globe-spanning adventure that will test him as never before. One in which the future of all mankind lies in his gloved, webbed hands.
Sounds like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that one is Amazing Spider-Man Full Circle #1. And the title of the previous one was just Ghost Rider #1.
Now, that sounds great. I mean, but my thing is Ghost Rider. I think that Ghost Rider comic is going to give you an exact lens into where they're going with Ghost Rider in the future as far as MCU. There's so many Spider-Man iteration comics, and it's such more of an entrenched character that I feel like this comic could have nothing to do with Sony and the MCU. It's just a good old Spider-Man comic, but of course, I don't really know.
Well, they don't have anything to build up. They already have an established character in Spider-Man, so you're kind of caught up in watching the movie.
But if they had put out like a Sinister Six series, and again, the third movie's not going to come out for years, so it wouldn't really make any sense to start it now. But maybe it'll build to something that they have planned out in the next couple of years that'll sort of align with.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a character like Kraven, they're like, oh, we're going to make Kraven real huge because he's going to be in 3 or something. That might be a clue, but awesome.
All right. Next one is Marvel Zombies, Respawn #1. The cover has Captain America, Wolverine, and Deadpool all zombified.
Paul has a couple of these comics I've never read. I should grab a couple. Marvel Zombies. People really love these. I'm kind of over the zombie craze. I liked Walking Dead for the first 3 seasons, I guess. 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But do you remember in the Spider-Man Far From Home where Mysterio's putting him through all that stuff in the warehouse at the beginning, and he sees Iron Man coming out of the grave and he's all torn up and he kind of looks like a zombie?
Spoiler alert.
See Spider-Man. People are saying that was a reference to Marvel Zombies, which could be true. I've never seen Iron Man in the Marvel Zombies, but I assume he kind of looked like that, like a zombie with Iron Man clothes or suit on.
Next one is Immortal Hulk 25.
Hulk's immortal now?
Let me just read this.
There can be only one. Highlander Hulk.
The heat death of our universe has come and gone. The Hulk is finally dead. Now, billions of years later, the ninth cosmos cowers. You'll never read a Hulk comic like this before. You've never read a Marvel comic like this before. And it's a very galaxy-oriented cover page, lots of planets in space, and there's like a silhouette of Hulk.
Ooh, cover by Alex Ross. Sweet. So I like how it's called Immortal Hulk. The second sentence is, the Hulk is finally dead. Something tells me the Hulk is not going to stay dead in a comic called Immortal Hulk, but I don't know. Highlanders can be killed. Maybe someone chopped his head off.
And the last one here is I've never heard of it. The Powers of X. Is that X-Men? Well, yeah, I guess it is X-Men. It looks like I see Cyclops and Jean Grey.
Classic.
The revolutionary tale of mutant kind's fall comes to a conclusion that will lay the groundwork of the X-Men stories for years.
Well, that's interesting because obviously now that Marvel or Disney has control of the Fox characters and X-Men's coming to the MCU, this is an exact instance where maybe these comics will lead into what the MCU is going to do or align in the future. So that's probably definitely worth a read.
Yeah. And that's it. We had an 8-page comic review and a little bit of news. That's it for today's episode.
Bye, guys. Wear your seatbelt.
Vote